Imagine a world where perfection isn't a choice, it's a minimal requirement to live. Get a perfect body or face the consequences. DMITRYS here, fasten your seatbelt guys, let's go!
Hundreds of years ago, humanity depleted the Earth's natural resources. As a result, society descended into chaos. The world's top scientists took on the mission of saving what was left of civilization. They created genetically modified orchids, which became a new source of energy. However, people still struggled with their differences. Therefore, scientists introduced the transformation. When a person turns 16, they undergo a procedure that changes their life and transforms them into their most perfect self. These people are called Pretties because they are perfect and happy. Living in the city becomes peaceful and conflict-free. Those who have not undergone the procedure are called Uglies and live in a special dormitory. Tally cannot wait to become a Pretty. She constantly uses an app on her mirror to see what she will look like after the procedure. The girl has a best friend, Paris. They've been calling each other Nose and Cross Eyes since childhood. They use special glasses to watch the Pretties having fun in the city. Tally will turn 16 in 3 months, but Paris is slightly older and has his operation scheduled for tomorrow. They both have matching scars on their hands and promise not to let the doctors erase them when they become Pretties. Suddenly, a patrol drone flies by and they rush back to the dormitory. The next day, during a meeting, Tally listens as other students talk about the Smoke, a hidden place outside the city run by a boy named David. They say many people escape from the city to hide there, but most students don't believe it exists. At this moment, a hologram of Governor Cable appears and gives a speech on the importance of being beautiful and perfect. Then, everyone who has turned 16 is called forward. Tally says goodbye to Paris, telling him to meet her at the bridge in a month. That evening, Tally watches fireworks over the city and remembers the day she met Paris. Her parents had just dropped her off at the dormitory, and Paris was standing behind her in line. They exchanged nicknames, became friends, and quickly grew inseparable. One day, Paris accidentally cut his hand while taking Tally's tablet. She got the same scar, and they promised to remain friends forever. Days go by, and Tally continues attending classes and looking at herself in the mirror. She often checks her interface ring for messages, but there's nothing from Paris. A month later, Tally uses her ring to open the window and leaves it behind because it has a tracker. Sneaking out, she heads to the bridge, but Paris never shows up. Worried, she climbs under the bridge, dangerously making her way to the city. She sneaks around, hiding behind plants. When one of the partygoers drops a mask, Tally grabs it and puts it on. The mask projects a hologram over her body, making it look like she's in a masquerade costume. Now Tally can enter the party. She's amazed by the decorations. Eventually, she finds Paris, but he looks completely different and doesn't recognize her. Tally removes the mask and asks why he didn't come to the bridge. Paris explains that everything has changed now, and he no longer knows how to interact with her. Tally can't believe what she's hearing. She realizes just how much he's changed when she notices that his scar is gone. At that moment, the security system detects her presence, and Tally has to flee from the advancing guards. She gets stuck on a balcony, so she steals a special jacket and jumps off. The fall is quite long, but the jacket causes her to bounce and land softly nearby. Tally then escapes the city, sneaking back under the bridge. When she accidentally knocks a stone into the water, a drone finds her and approaches to arrest her. Suddenly, her classmate Shay appears and urges Tally to get on a hoverboard so they can escape. The drone tries to chase them, but Shay is a fast rider and manages to lose it. To thank her for helping, Tally sneaks into the kitchen and steals some snacks. The girls share their experiences and talk about how hard it is to stay behind when all their friends turn 16 first. They realize they have the same birthday and are happy they have each other to become Pretty on the same day. The next day, Shay brings a second hoverboard and tries to teach Tally to use it, but she immediately falls. At school, Tally is shocked when some girls give Shay a book, as they no longer exist. Tally takes the book, and the girls call her cool for her stunt last night, which makes her angry because it means Shay told everyone about it. She's worried she'll get punished and won't have the operation, but Shay assures her that the system wants everyone to be pretty. Days pass. Tally reads the book, but she still dreams about the operation. Shay keeps teaching her to ride the hoverboard, and Tally in turn keeps hacking her interface ring to get more food. Tally also shows Shay her beautiful drawings in the app, but Shay doesn't have an account. In fact, she's not excited about the operation at all. Eventually, Tally becomes a good flyer. When Tally returns the book to Shay, she says she'd like to visit the beautiful nature outside. Shay mentions that it wouldn't be so bad not to have the operation, but Tally dismisses this as nonsense. Out of nowhere, Shay mentions the Smoke and takes Tally into the woods. Leaving their rings on the branches, they cross the border by hoverboard, gliding over the river. Finally, they reach the ruins of an old city. Shay tells Tally about ancient artifacts, such as an amusement park. Then Shay takes Tally to an abandoned building and reveals the truth. Shay refuses to have the operation and is leaving tonight. She wants Tally to go with her. However, Tally declines, saying she doesn't want to be free. She wants to be pretty. Upset, Shay gives her directions to the smoke, just in case she changes her mind. She hugs her and leaves on her hoverboard, following the signs of David's fire. The next day is Tally's birthday, and she goes to the clinic for her operation. However, everyone is called except her. Then, a guard takes her by plane to Dr. Cable, who explains that Shay has gone missing. Tally insists she knows nothing, but Cable sees her vitals on the screen, which show she's lying. Cable tells Tally that Shay is in danger because David has brainwashed her. He's known for keeping people against their will. When Tally maintains that she knows nothing, Cable sends her back to the dorm without performing the operation. That night, Tally hears a noise and is surprised to see Paris at her window. She tells him what happened. Paris thinks she should tell Cable everything she knows so they can finally be together. The next day, Tally returns to Cable, who tells her David is developing a weapon to attack the city. She needs Tally to infiltrate the smoke. Tally agrees to help, and Cable promises that if she succeeds, she'll get the operation. She also gives Tally a pendant that blinks in her eyes and must be activated when she finds the weapon's location. Afterward, Tally follows Shay's instructions and rides through the old amusement park for several miles. Finally, she reaches a bridge and falls into the forest, but a force field catches her. There she finds abandoned railroad tracks that she must follow to reach the smoke. The next few days, Tally survives in the wilderness, as she read about in the book. She admires nature like never before. She even manages to climb a mountain. On the railroad tracks, there is a large gap across a ravine. She gets back on the hoverboard and makes a huge jump, which causes the board to stop. Tally begins to fall very fast, but before she hits the ground, the hoverboard reactivates and she lands on the other side of the ravine. Now she must wait in a field of flowers, as indicated in the instructions. Meanwhile, Cable brings Paris to her office and tells him that he went to see her at the dormitory last night because she asked him to. Paris says that it felt nice to be back in the city, as if he could think clearly again. Then, Cable announces that the selected ones have been chosen for a new procedure. Paris agrees to enter the surgical machine for the enhancement of his body. That night, Tally wakes up from the smell of smoke. She finds herself in a field on fire and doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, a mysterious man grabs her and carries her away. It's David, who begins inspecting Tally and her belongings for trackers. However, his scanner doesn't react to the necklace. At the same time, Cable's people receive a signal of the tracker being removed and send a team to search the area. In the morning, David and Tally arrive at the outpost, where Tally reunites with her friend. Shay is thrilled to see her, but Croy is suspicious. The group camps out for the night, and Shay asks Tally about the necklace. Tally pretends it's a gift from Paris. Tally is surprised that Shay is happy after Cable's words and tries to express her concerns. Shay thinks Tally came to convince her to return, leading to an argument. Tally agrees to give the smoke a chance. The next day, Tally learns that the fires are set on purpose to burn orchids because they're invasive and destroy everything planted in them. Tally doesn't believe him, saying that orchids were the solution for clean energy. David explains that it's a government lie and that the flowers are turning the planet into a wasteland. He wants to take Tally on a mission to prove it. Croy protests, but Shay vouches for her. The group has an old helicopter they repaired using solar panels, and they take off. Tally now sees the land where orchids used to grow. It's actually a desert. Using a flamethrower, Shay burns as many orchids as she can. At that moment, Croy's tablet detects someone approaching. David lowers the helicopter to hide in the smoke. As a result of the movement, the rope holding Shay loosens and she falls. Cable's scouts get closer, so Tally ties a bag to the end of the rope and throws it down to lower herself. The helicopter starts losing altitude and Tally searches for Shay in the flames. Luckily, she finds her, and when a scout tries to get closer, Tally grabs a burning bag and throws it at him. The girls hold onto the rope, and the helicopter takes off just before the scout can catch them. After the group lands, Croy says the scouts could only find them because of Tally, but Shay defends her, and David believes that anyone who risks their life for the smoke deserves a chance. The group sets up camp, but Tally can't sleep because she keeps thinking about Cable and how she taught her to manipulate the rebels. Leaving the tent for a walk, she catches David bathing in the river and quickly returns to the tent, embarrassed. The next day, they blindfold Tally and finally bring her to the smoke. There, in the wilderness, a whole community thrives. Everyone lives here by choice. They recycle railroad tracks to make tools, but they don't make weapons because they are pacifists. One day, Tally finds a strange door and tries to peek inside, but Croy catches her and sends her away. Tally starts using tools to help with the railroad work. She tries spicy food for the first time and joins the dances around the campfire. After some time, David teaches Tally how to use a hunting crossbow, and they have fun together. It takes her a few tries, but she finally hits the target. On the way back, David explains that he has never seen the city because he was born in the wild and raised among his family. Tally is stunned because she barely knows her own parents. David then gives her a pair of gloves. At that moment, a member of the smoke returns from the burning orchids with a wound and says that the scouts are still nearby. She also explains that these scouts were faster and stronger than usual. After that, Shay notices that Tally is wearing the gloves and tells her that it's very significant. Items have different value, and since David made these gloves, giving them to Tally means he likes her. Shay tells Tally to make her choice and stop playing games with them. The next time Tally and David go for a walk, Tally mentions that she heard rumors about a weapon meant to destroy the city. But David takes her to a house far from the camp. There she meets David's parents, Az and Maddie, who guard all the books. They used to work as cosmetic surgeons for the government. A few tests raised their suspicions, so they began an investigation. It turned out that the physical changes were just a cover to hide the fact that people's brains were also being altered. Becoming beautiful meant becoming dumb and slow under a false sense of happiness so that the state could easily control them. The procedure also killed many people, which was kept secret. When Cable realized that Az and Maddie knew the truth, she stole all their research. People working for the government, like doctors, were given a drug to let them think clearly while working. So David's parents decided to flee the city and grow old naturally in the forest. They are trying to recreate the drug, but they lack a crucial component, so they only have a basic serum. This is the so-called weapon that could destroy the city. After the meeting, Tally throws her necklace into the fire, choosing to stay with the smoke. She also tells David that she has done terrible things, but he doesn't care because she's a new person now. Then they kiss as the necklace burns in the fire. In the morning, city aircraft arrive at the smoke and open fire. Everyone starts running and the scouts chase them, but fall into the traps that had been set. Unfortunately, they are too fast and strong, so the traps aren't enough to stop them. Soon they capture all the rebels in their path, including Shay. Tally and David find a hiding spot and David wants to go help, but Tally stops him because the scouts are too powerful. The duo sneaks to where all the prisoners are gathered. Tally is horrified to see that Az and Maddie have been captured. At that moment, Cable arrives and demands to know where David is. His parents refuse to talk, and Cable orders Paris to kill Az. David and Tally run out to stop him, but it's too late. Then Cable announces to everyone that Tally worked for her, and all the rebels begin to despise Tally. While everyone is distracted, Maddie slips the serum into David's pocket. When Cable announces that everyone will undergo the procedure, Tally runs to the supply hut and starts a fire. She also grabs a crossbow and escapes through the window, just as a scout tries to get inside. Suddenly, the fire causes an explosion that knocks the scout back, and David manages to escape. The scout gives chase, but Tally stops him with an arrow. Paris wants to join the chase, but Cable orders them to retreat. Some scouts destroy Maddie's research and set fire to the area, while others force all the prisoners onto the plane. After they leave, David gathers the few supplies he can find for a rescue operation. Tally tries to approach him, but he attacks her with a knife, barely stopping himself from hurting her. She wants to help him save the others, but he says he doesn't trust her anymore. Tally explains that he needs her because he's never been to the city. Sometime later, in the city, Tally approaches the students who had read Shay's book and introduces them to David to prove that the smoke exists. Tally borrows their interface ring and asks them to gather a large group of kids to create a distraction. Soon, the group of teens writes in the sky that the smoke exists using their hoverboards. Meanwhile, David and Tally wait for the plane to leave the clinic and then sneak inside. They jump through a tunnel and land safely thanks to special jackets. They move carefully, and Tally uses the ring to unlock a door, but it doesn't work. Suddenly, a Pretty opens the door, and David immediately starts fighting him. David pins him against the wall, and Tally takes his ring. When the alarm goes off, the duo finds the camera and uses the ring to free everyone. Tally can't find Shay anywhere. Croy tells her that Shay has already undergone the operation. While most of the group escapes, David, Tally, and Maddie go to find Shay. But when they reach the lab, it's too late. She's already a Pretty. Tally cries and apologizes, but Shay swears she likes it. At that moment, Cable and Paris arrive and force the trio into the machine to finally perform the operation. The process starts, but before the needles cut in, the rebels' helicopter appears outside, and Croy opens fire with a flamethrower. Cable and Paris are forced to flee. The machines are damaged, the system malfunctions, and the operation stops. The trio gets out. Tally grabs Shay, and Maddie pulls the needed component from the cabinet. The group runs to the roof and finds Paris there. Tally tries to reason with him, using their nicknames and pointing out that he has a scar from a glass shard again. Paris gently touches his face, and David thinks it's a sign, so he attacks Paris and tries to fight him. Paris is too strong and keeps beating him, but Tally uses a hoverboard to knock Paris off the roof. The boy clings to the edge and calls her by her nickname before falling into the waterfall. After this, the group escapes on the hoverboard and watches as other teens blow up drones in the sky. They hide in an abandoned city, and Maddie retrieves the serum from David's pocket to finish making the cure. However, she can't be sure if it will work or or if it will have severe side effects on the brain. Shay doesn't want to take the cure and refuses to force anyone else to either. So Tally volunteers to be the test subject. She'll surrender and let them perform the operation so she can take the serum afterward, promising to leave a sign to show whether it worked. The plane with Cable approaches. After saying goodbye, the group runs away and Tally lets the scouts arrest her. Sometime later, Tally is a perfect pretty living in a luxurious apartment. She swears she loves being this way, but the scar on her hand shows that she is still herself and lying as a spy.
That is the final, guys. New video is right here. Don't forget to watch. You will absolutely like this octopus. Like, subscribe, let's go.